Mr. Faraj, who's in the room with you?
Jing is here.
Hello,
Just Jing and me.
All right, hey Jing, how are you?
I'm good. What about you?
All right, doing okay. And now Elizabeth. We'll probably wait for a couple of minutes. Hello, somebody just joined.
Yes, hi, this is Matt.
And
Hi,
this
Matt.
is Nina.
Hi, Nina.
Hello.
We were just going to wait for a couple of minutes. I know Jeff is not going to be calling in, but I'm not sure if anybody else is going to call in.
So I also have, just as a reference, I have Sega Garber-Michael. She's our system architect. And
Okay.
I wanted to include her on the call to kind of discuss how we might interface DataMed and Fitbir.
Hello.
Right. Hey. Actually, now that I think, since Jeff is not going to call in, I'm not sure if we should wait much longer. Maybe we can just get started. So on the agenda today we have, hi, somebody just called in.
Hello, Alejandra from Oxford.
Hi, Alejandra. And then I see Darwin. So on the agenda today we have a couple of updates from the action items that we have going right now. We'll also have a discussion with Matt and his team. They joined us to have a more technical discussion on how Fitbir would interface with DataMed. And we have, and if time permits, we can then go on and talk a little bit about the no-cost extension work. So we still have ongoing discussions with the CEDAR folks and the Commons pilot, but we don't have a meeting tomorrow. Apparently, this is the week for conferences, so a ton of people are out. So there's no scheduled meeting tomorrow. With reference to contacting repositories, Ian facilitated a meeting between folks from GDC and TCIA, as well as us. I think I was on the call yesterday. We had the meeting yesterday. And I think the next step is for them to meet with us. The idea of yesterday's meeting was just to introduce DataMed to them and to figure out what exactly we would like to do, and also for us from the DataMed team to get to know the appropriate folks at GDC and TCIA that we should be talking to. So I will actually follow up with the GDC TCIA folks to schedule a meeting with CDT, and then we can move ahead with what we want to do with them. Also, we're still waiting for to get in touch with the NDR folks, and Ian was going to facilitate that as well. For the import Viper repositories, we have the meeting scheduled with Viper for November 17th. I did send out the invitation. Please let me know if you did not receive it, and I will send it to you again. And then we are also in touch. Dave put us in touch with the contact people at Import. So I'm in touch with them, and we're trying to see if we can schedule a meeting with them. It would be great if we could have something on the same day with both of them, but we'll see how that goes. With IEDB, since I have Alejandra, and I'm assuming I also have Philippe on the call.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Okay, hey. I just wanted to know if there are any updates. Are we going to be talking to them? Or I know you said you were going to go back and look at the mapping that you were helping them with.
Yes, indeed. So I think we missed a couple of opportunities with Jeff's team just to catch up on things on the best way to do this. And I guess we need to get back to that. Is Jeff on the call?
No, Jeff is out at a meeting today, so I don't think he'll be calling in today.
Okay. So I think that we had I had a couple of questions about how to process the information with the transformation language that is being used. And that I think was one of the elements I wanted to clarify.
So you for the mapping, you had a couple of questions, is what you're saying, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
either way, how to best process the information that we can pull from the landing page on the IEDB record, and then index that into DataMed. The other aspect of things that the page that was sent to us by Randy on IEDB is only one subset of the collection of data, the element that they have in IEDB collection. So we would need to do a similar mapping for another landing page. It should not be too much work because they look very similar, but again, we need to be aware of those connections.
Okay. So how about we bring this up again next week? I think Jeff should be back by then, and we can talk about it. However, just as an FYI, in case you missed, Yu Ling, who was the curator in Jeff's team, is no longer working at ECSC, so we may have to kind of figure a little bit of stuff. I think Jeff knows most of the things, so it should be fine, but just to let you know.
Yep.
Yu Ling is no longer available.
Sorry, Anna. Yeah, just wondering one more thing that came to mind about IEDB the work on IEDB as well. So I had received a request, I think, from the IEDB team to know exactly how the JSON or the schema.org annotation in that would work, and that was also somehow a related effort. How to adapt that to use a number of JSON elements. Schema.org elements that we have mapped already, but to refine and revisit the mapping to really be fully aligned. And the main purpose here would be to have the ability for IEDB to directly post a DAS JSON from their pages, so it could be picked up both by DataMed and by the search engine.
Right. So I think that's kind of very similar to what we want to talk with Matt and his team now. They're on the call today. We already...
Sorry, Anu.
Yeah?
One thing about delaying this for next week, both Philippe and I will be traveling, so it might have to wait till the other week.
Okay.
Okay.
So 28th then? I'm writing it down. So we can bring this up on the week after that.
Yes, thank you.
And with the ICPSR folks, we have the meeting scheduled for November 21st. George will be on the call with all his team members, and we would have a discussion of how we're going to proceed with ICPSR data and the work that we will do with them. And as I already mentioned, we're going to talk with Matt and his team today. So, Matt, I think based on the discussion that we had last time, you have a pretty good idea of exactly what we were planning to do, right?
I think so. Maybe I could just quickly summarize what I think we could do, and then you can kind of give us some feedback. Since we have now have upgraded our repository to use the metadata elements defined in the DATS specification, what we'd like to do, and I think we're going to do this on our side, is extract the information and put it into a JSON file that then can be parsed by DataMed, and then obviously the information then can be exposed by DataMed. I think what we're going to need help with is make sure that we parse the data and get it into the appropriate JSON file format and put it in a place on our website that is easy for you guys to then parse and or to grab and then process on your side. Is that accurate with how you think this should move forward?
I believe so. I also remember that Fitbit was one of our use cases for the schema.org annotations as well, so we probably will be doing both. Isn't that correct, Philippe
Yes.
and Alejandra?
I believe so, yes.
So what does that mean? So we just need to put the data take it out of our system and also put it in the schema.org format?
Not
Well,
really. Okay, Philippe,
no,
go ahead, please.
Yes, sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
think it would be a bit more complicated than that. I think that for the moment to be indexed in DataMed, you would need to produce the DATS format or at least the format that is used by the Jeff team tool. So the schema.org I think is the secondary approach. We can have a mapping, but you get it for free if you export in that compliant format at the moment. We are revisiting the optimal way to do this owing to the latest updates to JSON schema.org, to the schema.org dataset descriptions that have been released by this group. But I think the first part of call would be to do the mapping within the data object first at the moment, so that we are consistent throughout.
Right. So I think I caught part of it. So we would export our data in the DATS format in a JSON file, or are you talking about, as a simpler first case, export our data that is consistent with schema.org?
Okay, so there are two approaches. One is to create a data pipeline transformation so that it's directly consumed by the tool, by DataMed pipelines and workflows. So we could help you to do that and work with you on creating that transformation pipeline. Or if you can natively generate the data from your tool and if you have already code to do that, then we could look into that latter solution.
But, go ahead.
So in the first option you said, so I'm guessing you'd have to work with us very closely, but what format would that be in?
It's a JSON. Well, so the following the transformation. So we've got two things: a component which is kind of mapping language that would identify the object that can be found in the FitBear feed, and map them into what is consumed by the DataMed indexer. And we have examples on the GitHub repo of such transformation language and pipeline. That would be approach one.
Okay.
And approach two would be if you have already looked into the DATS model directly and would like to, and have some code available already, able to generate DATS, native DATS in JSON, then we could review your export and then maybe fine tune it so that it somehow comply with what we would recommend as implementation guidelines for this feed to be indexed later on in DataMed.
So then in the second case, then it would be a that specific JSON format with your schema.org, but your it follows the that format or model, and that would be a file that you would need from us, and then you would consume that. Is it like you guys pull from us, or do we provide that to you in a? So just trying to see what the two different options are, which one is preferred.
Right. So I'm just gonna I'm a little bit slower on the technical aspect of it, but essentially we don't store the DATS or the metadata in DATS in a DATS structure. We have our metadata is consistent with the DATS metadata, and that we can export it into a DATS JSON file. Where would you like us to put that file?
So have you got at the moment an API where you could put this export JSON? Or one option would be, if you have an API, is to have a function in the API where the DataMed ingestion pipeline could pick the JSON, the DATS JSON from there. So is that an option?
That might be. I think that would be just a REST interface, right, Sega?
So we would have
yeah, but it would be just one interface. I mean, it's just not multiple accessors or things like that. It's just give me the DATS JSON file.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could do that.
I mean, this is more maybe to discuss with Jeff and the ingestion people. I mean, but I believe this is what is being done for other repositories. So that would be an option. Other option would be if you have on your website all the JSON files, I mean, somewhere to pick them up from, that's another option. And so maybe also, as schema.org was mentioned, at the moment, that JSON is slightly different, and we have a mapping through context files, but there will be an evolution that it won't be too different, in which it will be more aligned to the schema.org. So in that case, you can also embed the representation in the different HTML pages to be picked up both for DataMed and for the search engine.
I see. So which would you rather have us do? Put it in schema.org or in pure DATS JSON?
Well, I think this is a question of timelines mainly. If you want to do it now to have your data indexed in DataMed now, it'll have to be in the DATS JSON with the warning that it will change slightly later if you want to also be more aligned with the schema.org, that we think it's useful.
Okay. So our timeline, just to give you an idea, our timeline is we're going out with a deployment here in December, so we're kind of tied up at the moment and preparing for the deployment. Then they have the holidays, so we were thinking about getting started on this in January, February, and then with a deployment in the spring. And then we would probably need help, with some help from someone on your team to make sure whichever format we pick is that we're getting it out in the right format, and you guys could validate that or give us pointers to where we're making mistakes. Does this seem reasonable?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
absolutely.
so. Yeah.
And if you can already point us to the file that you produce, that's already for us a very important product to look at, and that gives you feedback. But we can have a timeline for maybe, so we would think in a way to let you know how that evolves and what would be the best way to think that our efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So this is Dawei. I have a question. I think it is exciting to have Fitbit to ingest the data, and I think it would be useful.
Hi, Dawei, you still there?
Yes. Sorry. I have a bunch of kids coming in. I think it would be useful to not just ingest data, but also have some use cases, like say, for example, that what more can be done when Fitbit's data get into the Bell Caddy ecosystem. And I think that's one question. Like, what is the plan for that? And also, if we're talking about like in the spring time frame to get the data in, do we have enough time to do some use case studies?
I think that's a question for you, Anu.
Right. So I'm just trying to think whether we have, off the top of my head, whether we have a specified use case for Fitbit. I can think of where, for Fitbit itself, exposure with schema.org and from DataMed would be useful. But to have a specific use case, I think we'd have to look into it and to be able to figure out how we are going to show that the use case that we have achieved what we set out to achieve with the use case is something I think which would need more discussion.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Kind of, we need to get the data in there, see kind of how it looks and how people might be using it, and then come up with some ideas on how to enhance. But at least from my perspective, we're going to work on our side of trying to get the data out in the proper format so that it can be ingested. Okay, so
I have, Matt, I have a quick question. I do remember last time that you were going to check if what you currently have or what you're providing on your website is all the data or metadata that you have. Is that right, or is what you have at the back end a little bit more? Is there additional information that you have that are not getting rendered now?
So there's a lot more other data that we don't render on the public site right now. We produce a JSON file that we render, but it doesn't have it's not in your format, and it doesn't have all the data. So in talking with Sega, we kind of just decided, what the best thing to do is just write the data out, all the data or as much of the data as we have, into a DATS compliant JSON format, and then just hand that off to you.
Okay.
Or provide the API to hand it off to you. One of those two.
Okay. Sounds good.
So we probably are not going to need any interaction directly with you until we get our next deployment and after the holidays. So we're talking probably January, mid-January.
Okay, so we will get back in touch with you mid-January, and primarily the help you would need would be in the mapping area, right, on how to map and whether the mapping is correct or not. You need some kind of a validation. I do know that we have a validator, right, Felipe Alejandra?
Yes, it validates again the JSON schemas. It's pretty basic, but it's a Python validator that checks a JSON file against the DATS JSON schemas.
That would be awesome. Can you send that to us?
Yeah, sure. It's in the GitHub repository of that is WG3 Working Group 3 metadata specifications. But we can send you the link.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need details on how to run it, I mean, there is a bit of documentation there. But if you need anything, you can contact us.
Okay.
Is there also a link for ingestion? The two options you were describing earlier about, that guides how to do the ingestion, maybe some guide, a link or document that you have, maybe can point us to that.
For the ingestion pipeline, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of our metadata, I mean, all of our scripts and everything has been made open source. So basically, we do have multiple. I can send you a link and also provide you access into the DataMed or BioCaddy GitHub. And we have, as Alejandra mentioned, the Working Group 3 metadata specifications, which is where you would go in to look at what's in that, and you also have a validator here. And then we also have how we have done transformations for our previous repositories that we've already ingested. That is useful quite a bit, if you ask me, for to see, okay, how did they map this part, and it gives you an idea of how you would do the mapping. So it's kind of fairly useful in that sense. So you can look we have the sample data that we pulled in from different repositories, and we have the transformations that were done for the different repositories. And these are all in open public repositories. And we also should have the complete pipeline available, but I think it's a little complicated, the pipeline itself, so it takes a little bit of time to learn it. So my suggestion is, so this is the ingestion pipeline. It's called Foundry ES because it goes with Elasticsearch and it feeds into Elasticsearch for indexing. And they have some detailed documentation here if you would like to read that, if you think that would help.
Yeah, sure.
But either way, if Matt, I know I have your email, but if both of you could send me your GitHub username, I can provide you access to the to GitHub. BioCaddy GitHub repos that we have, and you could take a look at these specific repositories.
I'll have Sega will get a GitHub account and send that information to you.
All right, thanks. Also, I think we have another validator. So when we do the transformation, there is also a validator where you can go back and check, I think, the transform of, and to see if the transformation script itself looks okay or not. So that's something that we typically also do. So we can validate at 2 points. But I guess we can talk more in detail, and we can definitely work with you guys closely on doing the mapping.
All right, sounds good.
Well, great.
Okay. Is there any other questions or topics that we should discuss about with regard to FitBear and how we would integrate or how we would interface with DataMed?
Not on our side.
Does anybody on the DataMed team have any questions that we should discuss? So if not, then we can move. I think we have a little bit of time. Maybe we could discuss briefly with the DAX output through the API. Sarab, do we have any updates?
I think we are not strict enough yet, right? So we had a meeting that you are involved too. So I don't think that we are not strict on that yet.
Okay.
So if it's, we are not sure if we will do different mappings for each repository or just one mapping for every repository.
I think it would be one mapping, but as I remember, the plan was that we would wait until that has evolved and we have the alignment with schema.org.
So we have found some issues, and I shared those on the meeting that they released, and maybe we have more that we couldn't see now, we cannot see now. So it was just our luck to saw that date release, but maybe we have some other issues, so we need to be sure.
So I think that what we agreed on that meeting was that because it was related to the information also on that spreadsheet that Jeff team, everyone has maintained on the ingestions, right? Where they released instead, because the problem that Firat mentioned was that it was associated with the dataset distribution rather than the dataset, and there was an issue there. I mean, not from that perspective, because both are allowed, but it was more about what is shown on the UI and what is on the underlying data, I believe, right?
Right. So I think we need to go back then and figure it out. Maybe once Jeff gets back, we can continue the discussion.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Yeah.
So with the ranking algorithms that we've gotten from the pilot projects from Emory and UIUC, we have provided the Emory folks the updated indices, and I think we've had some issue with the click data, user click data that we've been collecting, which Jing is looking into. And with UIUC, we have all of their code, source code. They've already submitted it to GitHub, and Kirk is looking into how we would implement the work that they did. With the other functionalities, so Jing, do we have any updates?
Yeah, I checked the development server, and now I can start the log dash service. So when someone clicks on the development DataMed, and it can record the user clicks. And now I will try on the production server.
Okay. So for the most access data sets, you've already implemented, right?
Right. Yeah.
This is on the on the development server?
Yes. Now it's on the development server, and the word cloud I have implemented. Maybe we need some time to discuss if it's right, and I will update the production server.
Okay. So maybe we can do some testing before we put it on to the production server, correct? That's
right.
what you mean. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, and I think that's about it for now. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to discuss? Or bring up?
No, I just want to kind of see what is the if you or someone else can discuss the use case implementation, maybe go with the executive committee or proper people, because I think for the no cost retention, it will be important to have some demonstration of the value that this team has created.
So the way I can bring this up, I think Elizabeth is on the call as well, so we can bring it up definitely at the executive committee meeting, the next one that we'll have. And then I think this is something that probably should be discussed at that level.
Okay.
Elizabeth, is this something that we can bring up in the next executive committee meeting?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Okay. And
okay,
then we'll get back to you with that. Is there anything else that we should talk about?
Sorry, no, I think I would just realize that there's some Al-Qaeda team members that reported at AMIA. Do you have a full list of the presentations?
Oh, at AMIA?
Yeah.
Yes. I can send that to you.
Yeah.
So you want all the oral presentations, a list of all the oral presentations and the posters, right?
Yes. Because I think if you can send to me some today, that would be wonderful. Because I had to. There is internal meeting talk about updates. I think that would be a great thing to mention.
Sure. Actually, yeah, we did have. Oh, before I forget, maybe I'll send that to you too. So there was a person there was a couple of people who are interested in being indexed, who've got repositories that they run, and they're interested in being indexed. And so I did provide them. I did provide them a link where they can go into DataMed and request to be indexed. And also after, so we've had some people offering to help us out with user studies, etc. after they heard Ram's talk on the user studies that we did here for BioCaddy. So anyways, I'll send you the details in an email.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Okay. So, is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up today? If not, thank you very much. We will adjourn a little early, so that gives a folks a little extra time. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.